performed instrumented testing on the Porsche 918 Spyder. We've done the same with the McLaren P1. But while I drove the LaFerrari nearly a year ago, it's eluded our data loggers ever since. Until today. We're back in Italy because Ferrari's invited us here to test this car. On this episode of Ignition, finally, we get to answer the question, how fast is the LaFerrari? Before we get started, let's have a look at the things that make the LaFerrari so special. The LaFerrari is a larger car. It's longer and wider than the P1 and the 918. It actually shares its length and wheelbase with the Ferrari Enzo, but it's shorter in height than all those cars. Now you have to appreciate the feast of visual details on this car. My favorite is this black gap between the body panels that goes all around the car. It evokes memories of all the great Ferraris, your 288 GTO, your F40, your F50, and so on. A lot of the details are the work of aerodynamic testing, and this car has active aerodynamics. You can't see when the car is parked and they're not active, but this wing right here comes out. These flaps down here, they move. There's flaps on the bottom of the car and the front that move as well. They're all electronically controlled and adjust accordingly to what the car is doing, giving you more downforce in braking zones and more downforce in the corners, but then going back in so you can accelerate harder. As if you really need to, because with 950 horsepower combined, the LaFerrari is one of the most powerful production cars in the world. You have the V12 from the F12 Berlinetta. Of course, this one makes more power. They've tuned it for more high RPM response. Then they've also put on an electric motor that gives it more low RPM power, instantaneous throttle response, and the result is just power everywhere, but with a wonderful sound from a naturally aspirated V12. Now, one of the first things you notice when you hop in the LaFerrari is this massive cut in the roof here. That makes getting in and out of the car really easy. When you shut the door, you get a satisfying sound and feel as the rest of the car rocks. Now, in front of you, you have this big digital display. It's multi-configurable. It's really easy to see. And behind that, you have this interesting steering wheel with all the controls right on the face. It's a really nice thing to hold on to because the material and the shape makes it really easy to toss the car around. When you reach around the seat, you realize there's no way to adjust it. The seat is bolted right to the carbon fiber tub. And Ferrari actually molds the seat around people who buy this car. They can also get their name right on this plaque here on the steering wheel. The wheel adjusts, it has a large range of adjustment, and so do the pedals to make the seating position easy. It's a pretty aggressive seating position too. My legs are almost flat and I'm leaning pretty far back. This is more aggressive than what you'd get in an Enzo. The rest of the interior is pretty business-like. It's carbon fiber and carbon fiber. We have the launch control button right here that we'll make good use out of later. And without further ado, that's a good sound. That's a good sound. All right, here's how you do a launch control run in a Ferrari LaFerrari. Stability control off, or ESC off, manual mode, left foot planted on the brake, right foot ready for the gas. I'm gonna hit the launch button, go full throttle, and then release the brake. So
first run out of the box is a 996 at 148 miles an hour. Good Lord. So 996 on its first run, that's uncorrected. So we'll have to apply weather correction for that. Jeez, that's fast. Launch mode is activated, and away we go. That is absolutely terrific. That's another 996 at 148. So 2 Excel runs in the bag so far, both of them 996 at 148. Launch. And that's another 996 at 148. I think this car is going to do a 996 at 148 every single time. Once we add rollout and weather correction, that'll probably be the high 9s. That's incredible performance from a street car. The acceleration is immense, of course, but very little drama in the tires, very little drama in the steering. It's really accessible, that speed. The car just happens to go really, really fast, but I feel no problems with looking over to check the laptop. I'm definitely going way too hard into turn 1 over at Fiorano, but I just want to keep feeling the acceleration more. That feels excellent. That feels excellent.
After applying our standard 1-foot rollout and weather correction, the acceleration results are 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. Matching the Porsche 918. The quarter mile in 9.7 seconds at 148.5 miles an hour. That's a tenth faster than the McLaren P1. And 0 to 150 mile an hour acceleration in 10 seconds, or a tenth of a second slower than the P1. Per the data, the LaFerrari pulls a 1G average from 0 to 65 miles an hour. Let's get a better understanding of how fast these hybrid hypercars are. This is the acceleration of a GTR Nismo, which does an 11-second quarter mile. This is a Porsche 918. This is the McLaren P1. And this is the LaFerrari. Despite routing the most power through 2 driven wheels, the LaFerrari displays the fastest and hardest launch, showing a gap until 55 miles an hour. The P1 surges just ahead of the LaFerrari at 100 miles an hour, indicating a stronger top end. This is likely the result of a cleaner aerodynamic profile afforded by the low ride height race mode. With the least horsepower and the most weight, the 918 is the slowest of the 3. What company you must be in when the slowest car does a 10-second quarter mile pass? Ferrari wanted us to set a lap time around its Fiorano development track. The official LaFerrari time here is a 119.7, and I've driven here maybe twice for a total of around 12 laps. There was no chance of getting close to Ferrari's official time, but getting within 2 seconds without much practice speaks to the LaFerrari's greatest strength. That a car so preposterously capable and powerful, so expensive and exclusive, and so technologically advanced could be so easy to drive fast. Is the LaFerrari the quickest production car in Motor Trend history? Maybe. Fiorano's downhill front straight was the only place we were allowed to test, and track rules wouldn't let us run backwards for a two-way average. The fastest quarter-mile run declined by 18.2 feet from start to finish, or 1.4%. The National Hot Rod Association, for reference, allows a 1% maximum grade over the course of a quarter mile. And that means we'll asterisk the LaFerrari's result until we can test a car on level ground. Until then, here's what a three-way drag race would look like between the LaFerrari P1 and 918.
I'll do one more braking run, but they're calling me back into the pits. Wonder if I did something wrong. Oh well, we'll find out. Oh, because it's lunchtime. They're calling me back into the pits because it's lunchtime. And God forbid you try to do anything in Italy at lunchtime. Must observe an hour break at lunchtime in Italy, or else, you know, God forbid you might get more stuff done.